أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد والثناء لله رب العالمين ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين المكرمين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء ولعنة الله على أعدائهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh from the holy shrine of Bibi Masuma, from the holy city of Qum. We ask Allah that inshallah all your ibadat, your ta'at, your worships are accepted in this holy month, especially your fast, inshallah. We begin our third rumination with a thought, or with an observation almost, that it seems as if many brothers and sisters who have sincere hearts, who have sincere intentions, they've heard lectures, they have heard sermons, they have read information, and they understand that what has come upon them is a great month, Shahr Ramadan. They know the importance of reciting the Quran in this holy month, the importance of fasting in this holy month, the importance of du'as in this holy month, and that this is the month that they have been invited by Allah and they are the guests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. With that being said, there is something that is very interesting, and some individuals have come and expressed this as well, that during this month they are inspired to act, they want to act, they have this urge to act, they want to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they don't know how to. The question that they usually ask is, what is the first thing we should do? And for some of us, the reason might be that some of these acts are so foreign to us that we don't know where to begin. And it's completely possible that even within Qum there might be brothers and sisters who've never prayed, who've never recited the Quran, who've never recited dua. And so they don't know where to start. And so when this holy month comes about, they want, or they feel that they have accumulated so much debt, they're in a deep hole and they want to get out of that hole in this month, but they don't know what's the best thing to do. And so they're confused. And so they're sort of paralyzed. There's a paralysis that takes over them and they don't start where to start. Inshallah, hopefully with this dua, or this part of this dua from Imam Sajjad, Ruhi lahu al-fida, we will be able to clarify some of these things, inshallah. At least what I think, we'll be able to clarify some of these doubts or some questions. And the part of the dua is this: Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَأَنَّ الرَّاحِلَ إِلَيْكَ قَرِيبُ الْمَسَافَةِ. In this, the Imam says, Ya Allah, I know that the one who travels towards you will easily reach his destination. His destination is close, قَرِيبُ الْمَسَافَةِ. It's very close by. Why is the Imam saying this? Well, to give an introduction and to give an idea as to what's going on, whenever we usually start an ibadah, one key element is the niyyah involved with it. And for many of us, and just to clarify, the niyyah doesn't need to be spoken in words. The niyyah is an internal act, but if it helps you, you want to say it in words, that's fine, but you don't have to say it in words. But the niyyah is usually what? We are doing our ibadah qurbatan ilallah, for the sake of proximity towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We want to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And here's a question to ponder on, the viewers at home. What does that mean? What does qurbatan ilallah mean? What does the proximity of Allah mean? Is it physical proximity that we're talking about? We definitely know that's not the case. But what is it? What is this proximity that we talk about? Something worth reflecting on. Now, how close is this qareeb al-masafa that the Imam is mentioning? According to a scholar, or Ayatollah Jawadi Amali, he says this beautifully. He says that this closeness is one step. One step is enough to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what is that step? He says that step is just to step on your desires. Just step on your desires. That's enough. If you can step on your desires, if you can overcome your desires, the next step will be in the value of Tawheed. Or the words that he uses, Dardalane Tawheed Hastid, inshaAllah. So, within one step. Why pick this specific verse for this dua, for this rumination? This, according to scholars, is a key concept within the dua. It's a key theme. It's almost as if it's one of those themes that keeps on, it's repeated within the dua. And then conceptually, if we're able to understand this, if we're able to conceptualize, or even on a conceptual level, come closer to this reality, maybe we'll be able to implement this in our lives and experience this reality, inshallah. So if what we desire and aim for is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He's close, then there might be, or there are some questions that are worth exploring. And this question, or the question that is worth exploring, is this: what is this ma'iyyat, this companionship, this idea that Allah is with us, He's close to us? What does that mean? Just to give you some ayahs from the Quran, and inshallah these are some of the ayahs that you can remember, and hopefully just a practical advice in between parentheses open. If you can memorize these ayahs, when you're in times of need, refer to these ayahs, right? Self-medicate, use these ayahs to medicate, right? Self-regulate, if you will. The ayah goes, وَهُوَ مَعَكُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ. Allah is with you wherever you are. That's one ayah. And we mentioned this ayah before. The second ayah is this, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. When my servant asks you about me, I am close, I am near. The third ayah, وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَرِيدِ. We are closer to Him than His jugular vein. And one more ayah where it says, أَعْلَمُ أَنَّ اللَّهِ يَحُولُ بَيْنَ الْمَرْءِ وَقَلْبِهِ. Allah is between a man and his heart. So this is a very deep and detailed discussion as to what the ma'iyyat, or the fellowship of Allah is, the companionship of Allah is. But there are 2 points that I'd like to extract from these ayahs and explain from these ayahs, inshallah. The first point is this: this idea of Allah's companionship, this camaraderie of Allah, is this. Sometimes we have a companion, and the example is that of you and your friend. For example, we're in this room, and I have a friend here, his name's Hussein, for example. Hussein and I could be in the same room, and we could be together in this ma'iyyat that we share. And Hussein's back there, and he should be smiling. This companionship that we share, this ma'iyyat that we have, it's similar. I might be his friend, he is my friend. I am going to the haram with him, he is going to the haram with me. It's almost equal, right? The same way I'm related to him, he's related to me. There's no difference. Now you could take it a notch higher, and this relationship could change. For example, a relationship that a father has with a child. Yes, it's one relationship, but the father has some merits that the child doesn't have. So that's a different form of relationship. But the example I'd like to give, and I hope you are able to sort of conceptualize this, think about this, and maybe use this as a stepping stone to understand our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is this. Imagine a woman bearing a child, right? A mother with a child. She's with the child, and the child is with the mother. But the mother encompasses the child. The mother knows things that the child does not know. The mother is independent of the child, but the child is dependent on the mother. The mother encompasses the child with her mercy, yet the child does not even know about the existence of the mother. At any point, if the mother were to go away, the child would cease to exist. That relationship, that companionship, is somewhat similar to our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or as they say, or in these concepts, the ma'iyyat of qayyumiyya. We exist through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and therefore He's always with us. And just like that child, we are unaware sometimes of His existence. We're unaware that we're encompassed by His rahmah. We are unaware that if He were not to be paying attention to us, we would cease to exist. So that is the ma'iyyat. That's one way, or one example to understand the companionship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when it comes to us. Another thing that I'd like to mention is this, that within the same example, the child within the womb thinks that this is the be-all, end-all. This is all of existence. Little does he know that there's an entire realm, entire world waiting for him after. And similar to him, we think the same way, that this world is the be-all, end-all of everything, and after this there's nothing. So that's one point. The second point, inshallah, that I wanted to talk about was this. The ayah says, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. When my servants ask you about me, tell them, right? That's not what the Arabic says, but tell them, the translation says, I am indeed nearmost. And what I'd like to focus on is this part. This ayah is unique because it's the only ayah in the Quran where Allah mentions Himself so many times, about 6 or 7 times. And nowhere has Allah mentioned me or I so many times as much as this ayah. Now within this ayah, what happens? It's very interesting. Imagine if I take the same companion I had over here, Hussein, and I say to him, Hussein, if they ask you about me, tell them I am close. That's what I should say, but the ayah doesn't say that. The ayah says, Hussein, when they ask you about me, I turn my attention away from Hussein and I start speaking directly to the people who are asking. What does Allah do? Allah stops referring to the Prophet. He doesn't tell the Prophet, Qul. He doesn't tell the Prophet, say to them that I'm close. Allah starts directly addressing the people and He says, فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. I'm close. So close that in order to make you realize this closeness, I chose to direct my attention towards you and tell you that just reach out to me. أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاءِ. I respond to the supplication. Being able to realize that, right? Not knowing this, right? There's a difference between knowing and having a piece of information, right? And we're using knowing very loosely here. There's a difference between having a piece of information and then understanding and realizing that. There's a time where you know that a certain disease is bad for you, but when you're suffering from that disease and you're going through the pains of that disease, that's when you realize, فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. Why is this then important in our dua? Why mention this in this dua? Who ask, where do I start? Those people who say, I don't know where to start. Those people who say, I don't know how to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The first point I would say is this: just this question, just having this question is a sign that you've become closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And secondly, all you need to do, right? All you need to do to get closer to Allah is this: Ujibu da'wat ad-da'i. You supplicate. That's how close He is. That's how near He is. And you'll see this concept repeated in other places as well. Right? There could be multiple meanings, but one of the ayahs or one of the verses of, or the sentences that's mentioned in this dua is this: Haribun minka ilayk, or in other duas as well, Haribun minka ilayk. I run away from you towards you, Ya Allah. So at every point in my life, Allah is present. It's there. I exist through Him. And all it requires from me is this: that I turn my attention towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we're able to implement this. How? That when we're in fear, we remember that Allah is always with us.